Ken, before we leave tonight, we're gonna move that voting booth.
Oh, yeah, out in the
Oh,
hallway.
yeah.
Because there's a Valentine's Day dance here next Friday, and I don't want them to try to move it.
No, it's fine, no.
It's kind of, for what they charge for those things, they aren't very sturdy.
Not at all. That was like over $900 for that.
I'm always afraid somebody old is gonna lean on it too,
They don't-
and they aren't.
They don't make them anymore. That was like the last year they made those.
Are they sturdier now? Because those are just really
I never. Louise has them
Oh,
right in the
really?
lobby, and it's like a round circle, and there's 4 partitions that they can stand around with red and blue
Kind of-
curtains.
kind of more compact.
I don't know how they fold up though.
Mhm.
Those things can fold up if you wanted to take off the curtains, and I just never wanted to. I would drag it through town hall. I did.
Sandy and I have drug them around too.
Oh yeah.
But I'm going to let
It
Jim
was like
I'm gonna let Jim and Kelly drag them
Well,
around because they're tall enough they can
It
get it off
was
the ground. When we drag it, it's
America's Funniest Home Videos, and he's setting that thing up.
like, I think the handicap one would be the
The
one.
handicap one was.
Yeah. That's a
I was
because
laughing at
somebody
myself.
gets inside and somebody's on the outside.
Yeah.
I'm pulling
Oh,
up
no.
on the string.
I'm on
You're
the
underneath
inside.
it,
I got
like,
one
trying-
foot over here. I got hand here and pushing the thing out,
It took
and I'm
three
just
of
laughing.
It took 3 of us to do it,
Mm.
and it was still a
Oh yeah. Right.
show.
All right, we're 1 minute early. I'm gonna start a little early.
Talk slow.
Talk slow.
Talk slow, and it'll be 5:30.
Alright.
It's 5:30.
It's 5:30. No, it's still 5:29. I'd like to call the February 7th Albany Selectmen's meeting to order at 5:30 p.m. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. All right, first piece of new business is approval of the January 24th Selectmen meeting minutes, and it includes a set of sealed non-public minutes. May I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve the minutes?
I second.
Is there any discussion on either set? Anything?
Nope.
Okay, I'll call it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Next is the approval of the February 7th consent file. It consists of review and sign manifests in the amount of $20,822.60 and $42,913.74. This includes accounts payable and payroll manifest for 131 and 2724. Review and approve commercial building permit for a solar installation at 1369 NH Route 16. Review, discuss, and approve a revised commercial building permit for World Fellowship on Drake Hill Road.
Make a motion to approve the consent file?
I second.
Is there any discussion on any of the items?
No.
Nope.
Call it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Review, discuss, and execute the annual contract with Conway Area Humane Society, which is our annual. I don't believe anything changed within it, from what I could tell. So I will make a motion to approve the Conway Area Humane Society annual contract.
Second.
Is there any discussion on it? This is the contract that they take our dogs and,
The only
What has
question
to
will be who's
happen?
taking them there now?
yeah, well. that's
Well,
another-
this is also for people to surrender too.
Surrender
take
dogs.
Residents surrender. If you don't join, then they charge more for people to surrender
Right.
dogs, and that's why they get dumped. And
Yeah.
so this is and it's also separate from the warrant article they put on for an additional
Correct.
$1,000. This is a
Correct.
$500 contract so that our residents or our animal control officer can take
Yeah.
a dog, and then in addition, there's the warrant article.
Yes. Yeah.
Yep, I read it. Mhm. Makes sense. Yep.
I'll call it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Town administrators report.
So I need to go to Georgia to help out some family in April. And I'm gonna leave like Thursday, the 28th of March, so that'll be 2 weeks after town meeting, so I'll have time to get all the stuff in. And then I will take the town laptop and check emails remotely, but there will be stuff that can't be done.
Of course.
And you won't care because you won't be here. You're a lame, you're a lame duck now. You're a lame duck now.
It was called a shop timer.
Shot timer.
That's what in the service, when you get shot,
The
you're shot
Boston
timer.
accent's coming out.
Which means
Shot timer.
you don't give a rat's.
What? How dare you?
Put on a smiley face.
Always.
That's all I had.
Okay, approve the time off. 6 o'clock, well, we have 27 minutes.
You want to do the rest of the agenda?
Yes, we will.
There's not much.
Old business, Chapel Historical Society. Really nothing new there other than.
So you asked me at the last meeting, if we had to file anything in the probate court or with the registry to clear that, quiet that title, and, I did send that email to the town attorney, and he said there's nothing that we have to do. Those notices of decision, basically clear it, and then he will send us anything else we get
Okay.
with regard to that.
Wonderful. And NHDOT project 29597, we will have an update from Selectman Robitel at our next meeting on February 21st. And we should probably discuss changing our meeting from the last Wednesday in February to the 3rd. Right? Because just to make it public,
Right, from,
so
the
instead.
4th to the 3rd, so from the 28th to the 21st.
So we're gonna
And
move
then-
the selectmen meeting from the 28th to the 21st of February. Same time, same channel. And you're going to contact Valley Vision.
And I'll put
Any
it on the website.
problems
No,
with
no,
that
that's good.
schedule?
And then on the
Just every 2
21st,
weeks.
we'll talk about March, because
Mm-hmm.
the meeting is, so you serve until
Friday after.
the Friday of town meeting week, in case there's a recount. So that is, I don't think you guys really wanna work a 12-hour day on Tuesday and then come in for a selectmen's meeting on Wednesday. There will be stuff to sign, but I don't even know that I'll have it ready for Wednesday night. So,
Yeah, we usually don't meet the
yeah,
day
well,
after town
and
meeting.
that's not our
anyways.
regular meeting anyway. Our regular meetings would have been the 13th and the 27th, so I think we keep those nights. Unfortunately, you guys.
However, we should meet one day before, just
no,
in
'cause
case.
It's the 12th, so.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I thought the 28th was better, because I have to post the budget. I believe the budget has to be posted the 26th. So the 21st works for you guys signing the MS 636, and,
That's correct.
but you can probably sign the warrant tonight unless there's huge changes. So you wanna have a short meeting the night of the 6th?
Mm-hmm. Just to tie up any loose ends, and we can cancel it if there's
No
nothing
sense.
pressing.
Yeah, okay.
You wanna do 5:30?
And then it's up to you, you could do the 20th. And then you're leaving,
Yeah, it would actually be better probably to stick with the 27th, because then we have a meeting the week I leave, and then a meeting the week I come back, as opposed to me missing a meeting.
so
But we
skip 2
can-
weeks.
We can decide, I mean,
Yeah.
if something happens in the meantime.
Yeah, I would say we keep the meeting on, no, do a meeting on the 6th. If there's nothing that we have to take care of, we'll cancel it.
You can also have a very short selectmen's meeting at town meeting, like on the 12th, while you're sitting here. The three of you can call them, as long as you notice
Done that
it.
before.
You could have a 15-minute meeting, and we'll see what's on it for the 6th. See how much because there'll be a couple weeks from the 21st to the 6th, so you might have some building permits and stuff, but we'll see. I'll keep an eye on it, and we'll figure it out.
The business board reports, planning board, anything, me?
Haven't had anything.
Nothing yet, okay.
We
Any,
are having one next week.
next week, okay. Any other business that's come to,
I have no
for the
business.
board,
No.
anything?
Oh,
Are you checking?
I'm checking.
Okay. Correspondence, our weekly reminder from Charter that they're changing everything. And review the email from Sam Farrington regarding a recent election. Apparently, he was told erroneously that he did not have to sign a piece of paper to return back to the undeclared status. That has been rectified by the supervisor of the checklist. We have an email from her, and it looks like everything is fine. This is why it's so important for our election officers to attend trainings in Concord and just pick up these tidbits of information that they need to carry out, especially in a federal election. It's very important. Hopefully they will get on some of these training schedules in Concord and take the time to learn their job properly. Public comment?
Well, I don't so much have a comment as I'm here to kind of redeem myself a little bit as well as attend the budget hearing. In the effort to get the Conservation Commission up to dotting their i's and crossing their t's, we wanted the legislative body's approval for RSA 31:113 to see if the town will vote to deposit the funds from any logging operation proceeds on the Albany Town Forest into the Albany Conservation Fund.
It's already a warrant article.
Is it? Okay, good. I just wanted to confirm that.
Yeah.
Cause I didn't have my finger on it.
Warrant and, yeah.
Okay, I hadn't got
Okay,
all the way
not
through it, but I
quite,
just
so.
wanted to redeem myself. I
Mhm.
felt like I hadn't been up to speed, and I promised
Yeah,
the members that I would do so today.
Redeemed.
Okay, good, thank you. I was feeling pretty bad. Okay, good, thank you. Yeah, just moving along there.
Good.
Really happy with the board. What a great board.
Great.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
Yeah, everyone takes a position, takes a job. Yeah.
What are you executing at this time, kind of?
Well, the idea came forward just last night, with the logging that's happened on that section of land up on Bald Hill. We haven't really done anything with it. The town hasn't done anything with it since we purchased it. And now that there's going to be some clear area of adding trails.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and hopefully maybe then be able to connect with other entities in that area.
Yes, some nonprofits there.
So it's
Gotcha.
pretty exciting. Yeah, the
Great.
guys,
That sounds
the
great.
guys were, had that thought, and so they're looking forward to doing that.
It's really nice.
Mhm.
I think that'll be great.
And there was discussion about some beekeeping on the area. Yeah.
That lady's like,
So there's just a few more, just some questions about safety and signage, but otherwise, we were all for it and didn't see why there would be any, thought that would be a big positive versus any kind of negative.
Does that individual
Interesting.
have to get some kind of in writing from the commission?
I don't think so, but I would like something in writing.
Yeah.
One of the members brought up something from past experience that he had just about safety and perhaps signage, since there would be an electric fence around, understandably.
Yeah.
But it was really very minor.
How come you need to talk about? It's nothing's happened this spring anyway.
Right.
Okay.
very interesting.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Did I miss anything?
Nope.
Blah, blah, blah.
Kathy's just asked about the warrant article and what the Conservation Commission is up to. And
Yes, that came up too. That's right. Thank you for reminding me.
That's public comment. How much slower should I go? The next will be a non-public session as necessary, and there's no need tonight. Our next meeting is going to be Wednesday, February 21 at 5:30 p.m. And should we take a little recess, or it's, we still have 15 minutes and you posted 6.
I mean, it's a public meeting. You guys can start, and then if somebody comes in, just ask
Review.
them to review. I mean, you're not denying anybody
Alrighty.
the meeting. I don't know if I'd open the public hearing. You might want to go through it yourself and see if you have any questions,
Okay.
and then open the public hearing at 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think what I would like to do is do what I've been doing each time we review and go over by department. And if either of you have something to maybe highlight on that department, maybe,
Yeah.
you know, you could speak up and just say, well, you know, the reason for this is this. And then if there's any questions, you can just kind of pipe up for us, and between all of us, we can answer some questions.
So the one piece of information that is new here that you have not reviewed before is, so in the first set of handouts, page 1, 2, 3, 4, the 5th page is revenues. So you have not looked at revenues before now, so you might want to spend a minute and a half on that when you get to it. And then if you go past the warrant, in your handouts, the public doesn't have this, but that's the one that has your narratives on it. You know, little notes
Yeah.
that we've made about percentages or, but the first 7 or 8 pages are what the public has to.
Well, let's start by executive. That total for the executive department is $77,198. That's your typical selectman, town administrator.
So that reflects the 10,000 that you added last meeting.
Yes, for an additional part-time person for
Sure.
1 quarter.
Yeah, yeah. Advertising maybe in September and hiring maybe in October-ish. There's actually enough to do it a little bit more than that if.
Well, it's nice to have that flexibility.
Yeah, if
Because if you get somebody
the right
rocking,
person.
you want to be able to have flexibility in that line.
Yeah.
So that's the reason for that increase in there. And you're just gonna pipe up if you have any questions, or you want me to ask?
No, I'll pipe up.
Okay. Oh, yeah. She knows.
Don't be shy. She's not shy.
The next department is the treasurer's department, and that's actually a little bit lower than last year, and it sits at $10,761. Pretty much boilerplate there. Town clerk tax collector is $56,819, and that is just a scooch higher than it was last year. Inflation and all that good stuff. Elections is $3,401, and obviously that's because we have 4 elections this year. We had the federal primary, then we have town, and then we have state and state primary, and then the general election in November. Next is financial administration. That is $36,353, which is actually a little bit lower than it was last year. On to assessing. Assessing is $23,419. And that, again, that's just a little bit lower than last year's. Our legal budget is down a little bit. We have a little less going on. So that's budgeted at $12,500. Planning is $4,367. This is lower than what was budgeted last year. They didn't use nearly as much as they had budgeted, and we felt pretty strongly that they shouldn't be budgeting for more than what they're going to use. And if they needed to, if they overspent this line, their department, that the selectmen have the authority to move funds within the budget and could cover their costs if they do go over. Zoning Board of Adjustment, that's been lowered as well to $551, and mainly because there was no expenses at all out of their budget last year, and I believe they were budgeted for 2 meetings, I think.
Yeah.
And so we lowered that to 1 meeting, and again, if they go over that, the selectmen can move money around within the budget. Anywhere we can save money, we did. Conservation Commission also is level budgeted at $2,501. Again, I would say you get alternates or have other expenses, the selectmen can move that money around and so you don't go over. Government buildings, $11,000 and, $17,300, which is just a little bit higher than last year, and basically that was due to the increase in electricity. Cemetery trustees had an increase. They are at $11,000 this year as compared to $7,000. They plan to do a few additional repairs, necessary repairs throughout the cemeteries, trees falling and growing up within graves, and so they're going to put that money to good use, and they also have a warrant article that we will discuss later. Insurance is also increased, and those are contracts, basically the workers' comp, property liability, health insurance, disability, dental, and life insurance. Those costs go up every year, and we expect it. And that's $27,721. Then we have our regional associations, important to every group within our town, and that amount is $2,807. On to public safety, which we have a few contracts here and small increases, which is actually a large increase. The number is $254,823. Large increase, we have $27,000 increase in fire, rescue, and ambulance, and that is a contract. The Sheriff's Department, we decided after a lot of discussion that we were going to add an extra shift each week and to cover our town. As Sheriff Ricciardi noted, we are the busiest little town in Carroll County, which is kind of a little bit scary, but we're hoping that applying this additional money, it won't go into effect until after town meeting, but they can give us a little more coverage and a little more presence around town, and maybe some more night shifts too, if we have requested, if they have the availability, more so in the summer when it's busier around. So that's public safety. Emergency management is, this is where our shelter would be if, God forbid, there's an emergency. So we need to keep money in that budget in case we have to open up. That amount is $1,350. Next is highways and streets, and that is $253,500, which is a little bit of an increase. It's a decrease because we had moved money over. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So it's a $10,000 increase over what was budgeted last year. Because I think at the floor town meeting we added $20,000 to highway. So it's a little bit over what we budgeted last year, but then we moved $90,000 out of the expendable trust fund into the operating budget because of the flood in May. So it's less than what we thought we were going to need, but we did not wind up spending the whole $90,000 either. So this is the budget that Curtis reverted to, because he thinks this would be reasonable for next year.
And you know what? He does a great job, so he gives us a really good price. So very thankful for him. Solid waste actually saw a decrease, and I can explain that a little bit as I prepare these numbers. the formula for calculating this, it depends on equalized values, and as you know, everybody's equalized values have really changed in the past few years. Conway did just have a reval, but it doesn't have an effect on this. Albany continues to drop. That has had an effect, and we saw revenue from recyclables come through that we had never imagined. And we're using 2022 numbers, not 2023. So when COVID hit, we really thought that people were not going to go and drop off their recyclables, and this revenue was going to drop for the town of Conway. Well, the opposite happened, and they came out of the woodwork, and the revenue was crazy, through the more like 100% increase. So with that also goes into the formula along with their expenses and their budget and the equalization. And so with that, we saw a decrease, and that solid waste budget is $38,951. Hey Kurt, we're already beyond you.
What's that?
We're already beyond you.
Yeah, we're just
Start
patting you on
over.
the back, telling you.
We can go back if you want.
I wasn't.
I know, we got through all our business.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Health saw a little bit of a decrease. That total is $1,450. Welfare came down a little bit, $1,000, so that total is $4,000. Culture and recreation, that did see an increase. The total there is $40,794. We did see an increase in the parks and rec. Again, that formula is similar to the solid waste, and when you have the equalization ratio, the equalized values, and they did not see as much revenue in 2022 as 2021, and their expenses were a little bit higher. So with that did go up. The other thing in here that we've added this year is Valley Vision, and the thing is, they've always done a petition warrant article,
Right.
and we've always had a memorandum of understanding with Valley Vision and Channel 3, different than the filming.
Right.
So the filming is one thing, and this is in order for Albany to receive Valley Vision.
Right.
Because it's almost like a contract, it's a memorandum of understanding. You just put it into the operating budget, and it would be equal to the 2023 cable franchise fees.
Right.
So we receive the franchise fees, and that's what goes into the operating budget for the following year.
Okay.
And that is because we have a memorandum of understanding with them, signed by
Okay.
by the town of Conway and the Albany Selectmen.
Should that be not, should it not have the name? Should it just be for filming or for,
That's not filming.
well,
It's for the Channel 3.
that's for Channel 3, but if,
Right.
so we're locked in with Valley Vision for the year,
Yes.
from the memorandum of understanding.
Because you signed a memorandum of understanding anyway, even if you.
Yeah. I was just thinking, electricity, you don't put up who electricity comes from and things like that. Well, should it just be for
Right.
the idea of it?
Channel 3 is Valley Vision,
Yeah, I'm just
Conway Parks and Rec.
trying to curtail things. It's all right. I mean, I agree with it. We're going to do it, unless they say no. But we're going to get filmed. We're going to have all these things done.
Yeah, but the film is in a different line item. The film is completely separate. This is in order for Albany to continue to receive Channel 3.
Okay.
And they have the same memorandum of understanding with Jackson, Freiburg, Bartlett.
And I still have cable and appreciate cable, and
you know, like Channel 3, but it'd be interesting to see how many Albany residents are moving away.
I've moved away from
Okay.
cable
Well,
and,
yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You can always get it online as well.
Seems we go through this every few years.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
I know-
That's
I
why
know
I'm
where
trying to.
I know what avenue you're going down.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I always felt like it was almost, you know, we're getting the franchise fees, so it's a
It's a wash.
It
it's a
is.
wash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I okay.
And then our tax anticipation interest payment, that was reduced to 0 because we have switched over to semi-annual billing, and the need for a tax anticipation note is not necessary. So
Wonderful thing.
I've asked Kelly just to, let's zero that out, and if you ever have to revisit it again someday, that's fine, but
Right.
you're going to be covered by your taxes unless some absorbent budget is passed.
Something goes sideways.
Or people stop paying their taxes on time.
Yeah,
I mean,
but there's always somewhere within here you could bank fees or something. So with that, our total operating budget is $881,566, and the Board of Selectmen have voted to use $50,000 of our unreserved fund balance in order to present you a level budget from last year.
Can't ask for anything more than that.
So we're leaving the highways and streets the same, right?
what you put in for the 250.
253.5.
3.5.
Yeah.
But you have,
Plus the warrant.
plus the
Plus
warrant.
warrant.
Actually, 2 warrant articles, one for actual maintenance and paving, and then one to refund what we took out last year. So that the expendable trust fund goes back to what it had. Because the expendable trust fund right now is down to $16,987. Which it's never been that low.
Yeah.
It's a little scary.
Definitely.
Yeah.
All right, well, it is 6 o'clock, so I will open the public hearing on our proposed budget and warrant articles. Do you have any questions? Did you look through?
Yeah, no, I'm good. I just wanted to make sure we were good with what
Yeah,
is in my world.
yep. Yep, you got your wish. 253,500. And we could move over to revenues, which is the next page.
Just a minor question. Speaking of assessing and the big hoopla that poor family went through, what do we do next? Next, 2025, okay, yeah. And is it every 5 years now? Yeah, 'cause it used to be 10, right? And they shortened it. I was trying to dust off my selectman memory. Okay, thank
Get your
you.
envelopes
And
ready.
we will be facing something similar,
Mhm.
just heads up, because our equalization ratio in 2022, which we got in early 2023, it was at 69.7%.
Oh.
And I anticipate that it will be lower, maybe 60%.
Mhm.
So you can, I don't think that the real estate market is gonna stay that high through 2024,
No, it's already-
2025. But I
Starting
also,
to simmer.
at 60%,
Yeah.
there's going to be a big change.
Conway was at 55, and so the assessor brought it up to 100%,
Mhm.
and even before she had the numbers out to the public, it had already dropped to 91%.
Wow. Yeah.
Crazy. Although we don't have the commercial that they do, so the offset might not be as bad, however, be prepared.
I don't think the stratification will be as severe as what you had, because you had residential and commercial way different. We don't have that kind of stratification of
That's what I
property
mean,
anyway.
that's what I
but-
mean, you don't have that, so.
When you say be prepared, what do you mean by that?
Your values are going up.
Oh, no.
They're gonna, if the ratio is at, let's say 50%, and let's say you have $100,000 property, and Jason brings it up to 100%,
It's gonna
it's
double.
gonna double.
Because in Conway, a lot of the commercial business has been down.
Correct. So it was just transposed over to the residents, so.
Do you
But
see,
that's-
do you see a similar impact here? Like,
No-
you think the
no, because
commercial will
We
come
don't have
down
as
on the
much
rest?
commercials, so.
They got the double whammy. So what it happened during COVID is residential real estate went up because
Yeah.
people moved into their second homes, sold their first homes, or Airbnb homes that had never been Airbnbs before. And then the flip side of that was people were not moving commercial property. So you got two whammies in Conway. Your residential skyrocketed and your commercial stayed the same, which makes it look like it goes down because now the difference. You won't see that here because you may see a little stratification between like land only and single family houses if land is more popular than the single family homes, which I don't think it is. But you don't have nearly the kind of business, and you didn't have a falling down of the businesses because there wasn't that much anyway, but you did have the increase in the residential. I mean, properties are still selling, the ones that are selling, Glenn Zeider's house, for example, when he sold right before COVID, we had him assessed at $335, he sold for $525. And it is already sold again for $755 in just a 3.5 year.
So it doubled.
It did. And that's just one example where we're at 69%. I mean, that isn't even a 50%. So again, I don't think the real estate market is going to stay like that, but I don't think it's going to correct by 2025 either. So it'll be interesting to see because in the next month or two we'll get 2023's equalization ratio. So it'll be interesting to see, if we drop down to 60%, and then she tries to write that in 2020. He tries to write that in 2025. The flip side of that can happen too, where the bottom falls out of the real estate market, and maybe he reassesses this in 2025 to 100%, and then by early 2026 we're at 102% or 104% because the market isn't continuing to do that. So it's even harder in Albany because there's less sales. Conway has a lot more sales, so you get better real-time data. In Albany, some of what you have to do is take the properties that have sold, but then you also have to take other properties and adjust them for what they would be like in Albany, because they like to see a minimum number of sales in that equalization ratio formula. So it's just nobody's going to be happy about it because the people that are trying to refile might be happy because their property, they have more equity and their property is worth more. But
All right, on to revenues. Land use change tax, that's another one, it's been reduced significantly, and that's because people have stopped taking their land out of current use and building on it to get out of the city.
I was really surprised what happened last year. That's the most we've collected in the 4 years I've been here, so.
Yeah. And these numbers could be adjusted, will be adjusted throughout the year as the revenues come in. Yield tax, 5,000, do you have information that we don't?
I don't, but I've got a couple of intents already, so.
Business licenses, 6,500, and that's the franchise fees.
Yeah.
Anything else in there? I forget.
There are a few other things in there.
Motor vehicle permits,
That was just,
530,000.
thank you very much to Coleman's.
Keep buying new vehicles. Building permits, 4,000. That's about what came in last year. Pistol permits, nothing because you don't have to have a pistol permit.
Well, I kind of bucketed all of that into where parking tickets are, because some of those, we will have pistol permits, but it'll be $50 and
Mhm.
like the parking tickets are still,
Yeah. So
People are-
parking tickets, 6,000. Sign permits, minimal mail-in fee for motor vehicle registrations, nothing, dog license, nothing, marriage license, vital statistics, shared revenue. I wish we would get back, but for now. Rooms and meals tax, 72,000, which is what you brought in last year. We've seen a significant increase in that. Highway block grants, 39, which is
yeah,
the
because
average.
we got that one time, so I put it back to what the regular was. I
Yeah.
don't know if we'll continue to get one time.
Probably not, but maybe we're getting rooms and meals. State and federal forest land reimbursement from the federal government, $132,000. Sale of municipal property, nothing
Pretty much
expected
all of
this
the
year.
tax deeded property has been redeemed except one, and that's all that's owed on it, so
Okay. Oh yeah, yeah. Interest on the bank account, $25,000. We're seeing our interest rates.
Yeah,
Bounce back.
and the treasurer and the assistant treasurer, and also Ann Marrow, the trustee of trust funds, they have moved the money around into more interest-bearing accounts and really done a nice job on getting us more interest.
Great. Planning board hearing fees, $500. Where am I? Transfers from the fund balance, $242,700. And withdrawal, $3,000 for a total of $1,069,645. And again, that's very fluid and will change over the year.
Yeah, we get another bite at that to correct that in September before we set the tax rate,
Right.
so I can be more accurate.
Okay, I'm not gonna read through the beginning. Article 1, to elect all necessary officials. Article 2, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $881,566 for municipal operating budget for the ensuing year, with $50,000 to come from the December 31st, 2023 unassigned fund balance. This article does not include appropriations contained in special or individual warrant articles addressed separately.
Do you want to vote on these?
So I think we should vote on them.
Because I put what you normally recommend, but I really need you guys to
Yeah.
vote on those recommendations.
Aye.
Aye.
Any discussion? Article 3, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $8,000 for deposit into the Drake Hill Road Bridge Expendable Trust Fund previously established. And this is basically a savings account, so maybe someday when we get bridge aid, we'll be ready for our, I think it was 20% to fix the red listed Drake Hill Road Bridge.
And just so you know, at the end of the year, there was $99,891.
Excellent.
$19, so
Getting
it could be
there.
a little over
We're getting
100,000.
there.
Vote.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any discussion? To see if the town will vote, Article 4, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $3,500 for deposit into the revaluation expendable trust fund previously established. And basically this, again, is a savings account, so we don't have to pay for the reval all in 1 year. Aye.
Right. Aye.
To see if the town, Article 5, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $100,000 for the purpose of continuing the maintenance and pavement of Albany town roads, with $100,000 to come from the December 31st, 2023 unassigned fund balance. Do you have plans for the continuation of paving?
So we're gonna do, from Bald Hill up through to Ridgeview, where the cul-de-sac is, and down, and then we're gonna do some more, across Conway Road.
Very good. Recommendations, aye.
Aye. Aye.
Article 6, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $1,000 to be added to the chapel capital reserve fund previously established. And basically, after the town claims the chapel without any restrictions, we could fix it and as we choose, And hopefully in 2025, the board will appropriate some money to get that steeple maybe restored or fixed.
So I've already talked to Eaton too about who did their
Great.
church, so I got the name of that person, and I'll start getting some pricing.
Excellent. Recommendation I.
Aye.
Article 7, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $3,000 for additional maintenance of town cemeteries, with $3,000 to come from the Cemetery Expendable Trust Fund previously established. And basically, I asked the cemetery trustees to revisit this because they originally had this in the operating budget, and I really thought that some of that's what the cemetery fund is for.
Right.
For the additional maintenance. So this warrant article was put together, and the $3,000 will come out of the expendable fund for what it's for. And again, they've got trees and fences and stuff, and Jim can speak to that. Did I say it right?
They're all in disrepair.
Yeah, right.
So we really wanna try to elevate that and,
So will you reduce your operating budget to have it come out of here, or are you gonna do
both.
both, do both?
Do both.
Okay, thank you.
Recommendations, I.
aye.
Article 8, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $6,000 to be added to the town hall capital reserve fund previously established. And as you know, we used some of this last year to do a little bit of work. Was it last year?
Yeah, because we did the air conditioning for
That's
the
right.
furnace,
That's right.
and we're down to $1.83 in that account.
Yeah, $1.83. So we'll start saving again to, yeah. Recommendations, I.
Aye.
Article 9, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $1,000 to be added to the Emergency Management Capital Reserve Fund previously established. And again, this is, this will be Albany's shelter and emergency center. So this fund will be used if there's ever the case that we need to open up and supply food or water. Recommendations, I. Article 10, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $2,700 to be added to the Cemetery Expendable Trust Fund to come from the December 31, 2023 unassigned fund balance. This amount is equal to the amount of revenue from the sale of cemetery plots. Basically, it's just a swap. It's a in pocket, out pocket.
I didn't know it was supposed to be keeping track of that, so it's like 3 years.
So it's a catch up. Recommendations, I.
Aye.
Article 11, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $90,000 to be added to the Highway Expendable Trust Fund to come from December 31st, 2023 unassigned fund balance. And basically, this is covering what we spent out of it last year to go towards the washed out roads.
And what we did, what we didn't spend and drops
And what
back
we
in
didn't
fund
spend.
balance, so.
Another is a wash. Recommendations? Aye.
Aye.
Article 12, to see if the town will vote to place all net proceeds from any timbering of town forest land into the conservation fund as previously established. Recommended. Aye.
Aye.
So it's not a money warrant article, so you don't have to have a recommendation, but I will put it on there.
We voted to have them on all.
Okay. And just so you know, Department of Revenue got back to me today, after I sent them our warrant for review, and said that this is not a non-lapsing warrant article. If this happens again, you will have to place it any year in which it happens.
How do we make it non-lapsing? Until rescinded?
Yes, then you'd have to, so then the article would have to say to see if the town, to see if the town will vote to place net proceeds from the timbering of town forest in accordance with 31-113 until rescinded by town meeting.
I'll make a motion to amend this to say what Kelly just said.
That would also be excited.
We don't want to
No, we don't want
continue to do this. We want it until rescinded.
That's what we were afraid of, yeah,
Can I have a second?
please.
Second.
That's why we were doing it again, because we weren't sure whether it was from the last time.
It was never done properly.
Oh, really?
The town meeting
Right.
never voted to put it in at all, and it
Right.
was put in, and it was put into the conservation fund, and the conservation fund wasn't properly set up. So you ratified the conservation fund in 2018, but you didn't do this piece, so.
Discussion?
Let's do this piece.
No, I'm good.
Please.
Discussion?
No.
Call to a vote. All in favor of the
Aye.
amendment? Aye.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Article 13, this is by, how many petitions do we have?
So we have 1, 2, 3,
Six,
4,
right.
5, 6. We have 6 petitions. 2 of them do not have the backup material that you require.
Okay.
Tri-County CAP and White Mountain Health did not provide the list of things that you're required to have.
Okay.
So I wrote those as non-recommended because they didn't meet your guidelines.
Okay.
The other, and I think that's only fair because the other 4 did.
That's right.
So it's only fair to them that,
Okay. So Article 14, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $1,708 for the operation of Tri-County Community Action Program Incorporated, service programs in Albany, transportation, energy assistance, weatherization, guardianship, Head Start, homeless intervention and prevention, disaster relief, and Tamworth Dental Center.
so I put this as a not recommended by selectmen of a vote of 0-3-0 because normally you make a positive motion to recommend it and then you would vote no. So that's how I noted it on here.
Right. So I'm going to say recommend. I'm going to say nay.
And then you're gonna say nay.
Nay.
So the vote will be 0 yes, 3 no's, and no abstentions.
Is it too late for them to get in now?
Nay.
They're in. They're in.
Yeah, but
They're
as far
on
as
here.
their
Yeah.
paperwork-
Well, honestly, they're supposed to have it in, so that's another piece of this. Your policy says it's the petition and the information is to be here the second Tuesday of January. Not many of them made that, but I gave them the thing. But I'm not going to keep, there's no requirement for me to keep calling these people. I called White Mountain 4 times.
They're required in all towns to submit at least some
Yeah.
sort of
So they
information.
White Mountain brought me a petition warrant article and nothing else other than a letter of request, which they gave me in October. But then they brought me the petition last week with 13 signature. One was in Eaton, one was in Conway, 3 others were in Albany, but not registered voters. So I called them, I gave them a courtesy call and said, hey, you're missing, you have 13, 5 don't qualify, you're missing 2. So then she did, so then I heard nothing on Monday, and I'm starting to say, they always get one in. So I called again on Tuesday. Nobody ever called me back. She showed up at 3 o'clock on Tuesday with 4 more signatures, and 2 out of 4 of them were good. So they squeaked on.
Did you say, where's the other information?
Nope. No, because it was the 4th call I'd made about it. I had sent emails and made calls. I have a lot to do with this warrant, and it's very stressful, and I think 1 or 2 courtesy calls should be sufficient. I didn't call anybody else 4 times, but, at some points if I have 6 people and I have to make 4 calls to each of the 6, that would only be fair. That's a lot. And I sent them the policy. I send it every year because sometimes there's turnover in the offices and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's very clear what the requirements are. It's very clear, please have it in by the Tuesday in January. We don't hold them to that, and sometimes they are missing one thing. They're missing the IRS letter. I call them up and they fax it to me or they email it to me. But this was, Tri-County CAP didn't get anything and neither did White Mountain. They know, like you said, it's the same thing every year.
See
So,
where it goes.
oh, and you skipped 13. Don't forget.
Okay.
Don't forget.
Tri-County Community, recommended by the Selectmen, Article 14, nay.
Nay. Nay.
I have other reasons as well, but we don't have to go there. Article 13, also by petition to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $2,000 for Family Resource Center at Children Unlimited, recommended by Selectmen. Aye.
Aye.
Article 15, by petition to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $3,000 to support Albany home-delivered meals, Meals on Wheels, congregate meals, transportation, and program services provided by the Gibson Center for Senior Services, recommended by the Selectmen. Aye. Article 16, by petition to respectfully request that the town vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $4,224 in the support of Starting Point, providing advocacy and support to victims of domestic and sexual violence and their children, recommended by Selectmen. Aye. Article 17, by petition to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $1,000 for the Conway Area Humane Society for the purpose of supporting continuing services for stray, abandoned, and neglected animals brought to the shelter by animal control or private citizens no longer able to care for them, recommended by Selectmen. Aye. Article 18, by petition to see if the town of Albany will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $2,942 for the support of White Mountain Community Health Center to help meet the healthcare needs of the uninsured and underinsured residents of the town of Albany, recommended by Selectmen. Nay. Article 19, to act upon any other business that may legally come before the meeting given our hands this 7th day
Wow.
of February.
It won't be because I'm gonna have to retype that one warrant article for your signatures.
Oh.
I'll do it for the day that you sign.
And the 636.
Yeah, everything ties out. I just put it in there so you could see that with the warrant articles, we only have to raise, $37,345, and that doesn't include the two that you're not recommending. If they pass, that gets added to what's being raised by taxes.
Yeah.
So basically, your operating budget is offset, and it's just the warrant articles you're raising.
Is there any public comment before I close the public hearing? I'll close the public hearing at 6:25 p.m. For last piece of business, I will make a motion to adjourn at 6:25.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's it. That's